It's me, it's Queen Said Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Okay, so I got a message, and a woman said to me that she doesn't understand the elements, how the elements work in astrology. Particularly, I was talking about how Aquarius, when they have too much earth or too much water, it really changes their behavior. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about this and explain a little bit more about the elements because I have talked about them before. Now, again, I'll remind you, the elements are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. In astrology, we deal with earth, air, fire, and water. So your sun sign, your moon sign, all your signs are going to come with one of the elements. So if you go and do your full chart on astro.com, you will be able to see at the bottom which elements are the most dominant in your chart. So when I do my chart, the dominant elements are fire and air. I have one earth placement and one water placement. Everything else is a fire or air sign. So when you look at this chart, it's a very fiery, airy person, you know. But fire and air go together. So it's not a big opposition between the two. They go together. They work together very well. Problem is that sometimes it's too well. You know, some of the times they encourage each other's bad habits. So that's where I have to work out personally. So when you look at your own chart, you can see what's going on there. So I was talking about the Aquarius who has a lot of water. So let's say I was an Aquarius sun sign and I had like a Scorpio moon, a Pisces rising, and maybe some more water sprinkled in my planets. Let's say I was all air and water, for example. This is going to be a very different kind of person. This person is going to have to be very careful because these energies are in direct opposition. Aquarius is detached, aloof. We're not emotional. You know, we do have strong emotions, but we know how to wield them. We control them. You know, we sometimes have problems with them too. So if you have a lot of water, you're going to have a lot of emotion to deal with. And for all of us that are Aquarius, this is going to be in direct opposition. So it doesn't mean that you can't work it out or that it has to ruin your life. It just means that you have to be very expressive about your emotions. You have to be emotionally healthy and emotionally intelligent because they're going to be constantly battling. Your Aquarian nature, your detached, aloof nature is going to be constantly in opposition with all this water. I always tell people, I can't deal with all that water. You know, come on now with all that water, you know. So it's a lot of it. And so if you have a lot of it in your chart, it doesn't mean it has to be the end of the world. It just means that you have to be a very emotionally intelligent, emotionally sound, emotionally expressive person. You have to be on top of it because if you're not, the water will overtake you and you'll find yourself emo all the time. You'll be moody all the time. You'll be angry, sad, happy, elated. You'll be manic one minute and bouncing off the walls and depressed and crying for 3 weeks the next day because of something you saw on TV. You know, your emotions will basically control you and you will have a hard time doing anything in your life. So as long as you can, you find a way to deal with them in a healthy way, you'll be fine. But if you don't deal with it in a healthy way, they're going to control you. And if you try to ignore them, repress them, or suppress them, repress them, squash them, hide them, keep them from yourself, in most cases, you will eventually have an emotional breakdown, or you just will find yourself dead on the inside. Emotions are very important. So if you don't figure out how to work them, it can really mess you up. So if you are an Aquarius and you have a lot of water in your chart, that's basically all that means for you is that you have to be on top of that. If you're an Aquarius and you have a lot of earth in your chart, for example, so this is, dealing with Taurus, Capricorn energy, Virgo energy. If you have a lot of earth in your you're an Aquarian sun, and you have a chart full of earth, it's definitely going to be difficult for you because earth is restricting. Earth holds things, which can be positive or it can be negative depending on how you deal with it. So as an Aquarius, you might find yourself always feeling rigid or held back. You'll want to do fun and wild and amazing new things, but you'll be scared and want to play it safe, at the same time. So a person who's Aquarius with a lot of earth is just going to have to be mindful of that, of a balance between the two. It's all about balancing the energies. Some people will look at their chart and they'll see a lot of one particular thing. Like in my chart, you see a lot of air and fire. You might look at somebody else's chart and see mostly air, mostly earth, mostly water. Everybody's chart is going to be drastically different based on the person. But it's just you have to look at how the elements play together. Somebody who has a chart, like an Aquarius, for example, who has a chart with a lot of air, that's going to be easy, but it's going to be very easy for you to be very detached too. So it's going to be easy on your personality, but you might be very cold. You might appear to others to be cold, and you might appear to others to be very distant, even though you might not be, Somebody who has a lot of water, let's say, for example, a Scorpio with a bunch of water, they're going to have to be very emotionally intelligent, like I was talking about before. So based on your chart, you can look at how your elements lie and what are the dominant elements. The dominant elements are going to be very important to how you behave. Okay? So that's basically the bottom line. It's not very difficult. The elements are easy to understand. Once you understand what each element represents and how it, how it works on a person's life, the earth is all about security. It's about home. It's about family. It's about that kind of thing. And if it's too much, it becomes rigid, so you have to balance it out. If there's too much water, water is emo, like I said before, emotions, feelings, things like that. A person with a lot of water can be very emo. So that's another thing, A person who has a lot of fire can be very impulsive, can be very motivated, can be very inspiring, but they also can be a real, kind of person that sets it off. A person with a lot of fire in their negative form may be always setting it off, making trouble, doing stuff like that, that kind of energy. And like I said before, an airy person can seem very flighty, very distant, very disconnected from everyone else. So no matter what elements you have in your chart, you can make them work. You just have to realize what the elements are and what challenges they bring, and then find a way to counteract those challenges. If you have a lot of air and a lot of fire and you find yourself with a bad temper, then you have to find a way to control your temper, deal with your temper, address your temper, curb your temper, So it just matters. All that matters here is what elements you have going on in your chart and how you can address them. Okay, if you have a lot of earth and you find yourself to be rigid and it's in opposition, maybe like I said before, let's say you have earth and air and they're really in opposition with each other, you have to find a way to find balance and harmony inside yourself. So how can you take risk? How can you have fun? How can you do those kind of things and still do it in a way that's cautious enough for your spirit to feel safe? And you can do that. So you just have to figure out how to balance these vibrations. If you have too much of something going on and you have a particular sun sign, you have to find a way to bring the balance. Okay? So regardless of what your elements are, you can have a happy life. You can have a prosperous life. You just got to take your time and figure out how to balance them. Figure out what can trip you up and how to deal with it. Okay? All right, guys, that's it for today. So please, if you would like to send me a love donation, I'll leave my PayPal. If you would like to get a tarot or oracle card reading about your life, your love life, whatever going on in your life, I'll leave my email. You can email me for an appointment. If you would like to ask me a free general question, I will also leave here my email. You could email it to me as well, or you can leave it underneath this particular video. And I will also leave my Instagram and my Facebook in case you want to hit me up on social media. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up and pass this video on to someone else who's trying to figure out how to balance their particular elements. Okay? All right, guys. See you later.